Just when you think 2020 was crazy, it's proving to be even crazier. In today's video, we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. More specifically, we're going to be looking at the Solarwinds attack, why it happened, and why you should care. Let's dive right in. Alright guys, welcome back. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the Solarwinds attack, which has been in the news and is something that you might have heard about, and that's why you're watching this video. This security breach is huge. Check out some of the comments I've seen around this. Unlike anything we've ever seen before. Like a nuclear bomb went off. The biggest attack in history. And guys, we're talking about the biggest attack in history with the backdrop of the Equifax attack, the Sony attack, and a lot of the different attacks that have happened out there through the years. If someone is going to tell you this is the biggest attack in history, that's something that we definitely want to pay attention to. So I'm going to dive right in to talk about that attack. And we're going to do so focusing on 4 key areas. We're going to talk about the attack itself, explain what it is and how it happened. I'm going to use a good analogy for that. We're also going to look at the victims, who were the victims of this attack. Then we're going to switch over and we're going to look at why it happened. We're going to look at why this attack happened. And then last but not least, we're going to look at what next and why you should care about all of this. Now, I'm not going to claim to be a cybersecurity professional here. Some of this is way above my pay grade. But again, this is something that's happening in the real world and is impacting a lot of organizations. And as a tech professional, it's very important for us to be educated about this, to understand what is going on so we can take the necessary precautions that we need as professionals or that our organizations are going to need. So a lot of organizations are using products from Solarwinds. Now, Solarwinds sells a platform they call the Orion platform. Orion platform is not a particular product, it's a platform. And that platform comes with a lot of different products and capabilities. One of them is network performance monitoring. They have NetFlow traffic analyzer. They have network configuration manager. They have log analyzer, IP address manager, server configuration monitor, user device tracking, and a whole lot of other capabilities on the Orion platform. So as an organization, if you want network monitoring or log analyzer, you might come and pick from the Orion platform what you want and you use that within your organization. Now, I'm not an expert at this. I've never used a platform. So all of this is just based on research. So if you think about this as a buffet table, this is what we have coming from this organization called Solarwinds. So Solarwinds has these capabilities and organizations are paying Solarwinds money to use these capabilities of the Orion platform in their network. And this usually happens behind the scenes. So you might not even know your organization is using Solarwinds or something from the Orion platform, but I bet your security professionals will know. Now, this is the background of what Solarwinds does. So let's go in and we talk about the attack. Let's talk about the attack that just happened. To talk about the attack, how it happened, I'm going to use an analogy to hopefully bring this home for some of us that are not technology professionals. This is not what we do all day and we're wondering, why should I care and why is this attack so interesting? So let me give you an example. So imagine you have a house and your house has a lock. A lot of us have houses and we have locks in our house. We have a key to that lock in our house. That's how we stay secure. For example, my house has a couple of doors and each of those doors have the keys. I have access to those keys. Now imagine I went to the store and the company that produces those locks tells me they have a better version of that lock and I need to update the locks in my house. So I go out to my favorite hardware store and I buy the updates to the locks of my house and I bring it back with me. So I walk around and I go to each lock and I apply the update, whatever that update is, to the locks to hopefully make the locks of my house more secure. But little do I know that in doing so, in going to my favorite hardware store, buying or getting that update and putting it on every lock in my house, now my house becomes vulnerable. How does it become vulnerable? The updates that I put to the locks of my house has made it possible so that someone from outside can sit and listen into my house, or they can have their own special key that without my own key, they can still get access to my house. And even worse, just imagine that from within my house, the updates that I put on every lock can tell them when I'm home, who is in my house, where my children are sleeping, where I store my valuable, where I work, what time I'm in the house, what time I'm out of the house. And this update can give them all that information. Now, that is dangerous. That would be That would be insane for that to happen to anybody and their house. You will never feel secure in your house unless you go out and you fix those locks in your house. Now take that times 100 million. So take that times, everybody who goes to the store and gets that update and applies it to their lock in their own houses. So almost every house, as long as they had that update, is almost becoming vulnerable. And that's why this is huge, because almost every organization that applies that update is now vulnerable. Now let's take this back into what we're talking about here, the attack that happened. A little bit of the background. There is a company in the picture, it's called FireEye. FireEye is also in the security space. They do a lot of security sandboxing and testing for organizations. Now, a couple of months back, FireEye discovered that they were hacked. This organization, they discovered that they were hacked. And in doing their research, they linked that hack into a software update that came from this organization called Solarwinds. So here is a picture. Solarwind produces Orion platform. FireEye uses Orion platform, and in their investigations, FireEye discovered that they were hacked, and the hack came from them using the Orion platform, a specific product of the Orion platform. Now, once they discovered that, it became public. And so now, if that hack was linked to Orion platform and a lot of people are using the Orion platform, then the question now became, well, if you are using Orion platform, that hack must have applied to you. And the way the hack happened was through a malicious update. So a malicious update happened where hackers went into the Orion platform using some backdoor means. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but they were able to put in a Trojan horse. They were able to put in some malicious code, some bad code into the Orion platform. And now once that code was put in, anybody who came to get an update of that code from the Orion platform got that bad code onto their system. Again, going back to the analogy that we use, it's just like you went to the store to buy an update to your lock, and that lock being the Orion platform, when you brought it down to your enterprise, you're bringing down that bad lock. You're bringing down the bad code into your house. So all the organizations, the 30,000 organizations that are customers of the Orion platform, are potentially victims because they must have brought down that malicious update to their system. Now, why is this such a big deal? It's a big deal because we're making this video in December of 2020, but that update was available since March of 2020. So it means that a lot of organizations, every single organization out there has potentially brought down this malicious update into their system and thus be affected. Now, let's go into the next piece of this. Who are the victims? Who exactly are the victims of this attack? So there are really two big categories of victims that we see here. The very first one are the big organizations, and we know this very well. So think about your Fortune 500 organizations. Nearly all of them have been attacked by this. And the reason is because a lot of these organizations, they use SolarWinds, they use the Orion platform, and if that platform has been compromised, all those organizations have been compromised. Think about Microsoft. Think about even the FireEye we talked about here, they were compromised. Think about all your big organizations. I don't want to call names here just in case for security reasons, but those organizations, a lot of them have been compromised. And that means that by corollary, by default, even you might have been included in this compromise, because a lot of people use Microsoft. So if Microsoft is compromised, well, guess what? A lot of people use Microsoft products. A lot of people use Windows. A lot of people use Azure. A lot of people use a lot of these services. So that means that you might have been compromised as well. Let's talk about the next category of compromise. Is the government institution. And this is the one that makes this even bigger. And this is why you hear on TV, you hear on the news, people are talking about this. So if the government institutions in the United States have been compromised, that's a big deal. So everything from the Pentagon to the DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Security, affected by this. And this is the one that even blew my mind away when I saw this. The Nuclear Security Agency. So this is the agency that manages the nuclear infrastructure for the United States. So they use, apparently they use this Orion platform. Orion was compromised, and so that came down into their systems. And then also we have state hospitals, colleges, state universities, almost across the board. There's no one that has been left unaffected by this. Now, let's move over into why this happened. Why exactly did this happen? Well, I can't tell you for sure I know why, and that's way above my pay grade for me to say I know why this happened. I do know that there is a lot of finger pointing. People are saying it's Russia. Some people are saying it's China. Some people say they just don't even know because of the skill and the sophistication. So honestly, for this one, why it happened, I think that the security agencies are gonna figure that out eventually. But some of the obvious ones that people have talked about is being used for spy or for espionage. This particular attack doesn't seem to have caused a lot of issues. It more seems to be of the type of espionage, of the type of spying. It lays dormant and is monitoring what's going on, who is doing what, when are they doing what is available within the system, where are the strong parts of the system, where are the weak parts of the system. So it seems to be doing a lot of espionage and sending information back from a monitoring perspective. Now, this could be good news or it could be bad news. Good news in the sense that it's not going to destroy a lot of things, but it could be bad news in the sense that it knows a lot, and if someone is planning to do a follow-up attack with all that information, that could be disaster for a lot of companies. Now, last but not least, we're going to look at what next. What does it mean for you? We've seen a lot. We've talked a lot about the attack. We've talked about the victims. We've talked about why. But what does this mean for you, and why should you care? Why you should care might depend on what horses you have in the race. So for different people, they might have different stakes in this game. But for the average person, this is really an opportunity to rethink security, and a lot of people are under heat today to rethink security. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs, and there's a huge fallout that's going to happen from this. So if you've been putting security to the side, whether you are a security professional or just the average Joe like me that just cares about this thing, this is a good time to start thinking security. Now, out of that, you can assume that there will be breaches, and a lot of organizations, as they rethink security, are already assuming that there will be security breaches, and they're not trying to prevent the breaches from happening. They're trying to mitigate or confine the impact of it using perimeter security, using segmentation, and a whole lot of other ideas that are coming up. So this is a great area open for research, just because the impact for this is huge. Just to give you an idea, as I was preparing for this, I saw terms like unlike anything we've ever seen before, like a nuclear bomb went off, the biggest attack in history. Guys, this has huge impact, and so a lot of people are going to be looking for ways not just to prevent this, but to deal and mitigate the effects once it happens. Now, given the scale and the impact of this to the security agencies and to the government institutions, you can be rest assured that there will be new laws that will pass, there will be some inquiries, there will be investigations, there will be a lot of things to ensure that this doesn't happen. And so just brace yourself for the new laws, the regulations that are going to come, and the impact that might mean for you as an individual or for your organization. And then last but not least, you got to play your part as individuals. Organizations out there are taking the hit. They have to go out and fix this and mitigate the impact. But you as an individual, you are using the government services, you are using government websites, you have government accounts, you have Microsoft accounts, you have different accounts across the board. The year is changing, and this could be a great opportunity for you to go back and rethink your security strategy and make sure you're updated with your security protocols. Everything from updating your passwords to staying knowledgeable about what's going on, all the way to just being informed about all of this and taking the necessary precautions to stay secure. So guys, thanks for watching through here. Hopefully you found this valuable. If you did, please share this with somebody that might get value out of it. Again, we make videos around technology tips, career advice, and inspiration. Through here, signing out.